Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is kind of cloudy today in Atlanta, but I think it's going to be a little warm, so we're excited about that. And I have to say that I am very excited about this show, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more in just a moment. But first of all, I want to introduce you to Inner Story. You're watching Inner Story on WCEG Network and WCEG Talk Radio. You can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Roku, and of course on our YouTube station, WCEG Network. Make sure that if you watch us that you also subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. A little bit about Inner Story. I'm going to be 60 next week, and I recently became a grandma, about to become another one too, probably in about a couple of months. But as I started reflecting on my life, I realized that so many women over 50 have journeys that they want to share. We have lessons learned, battles fought, strength earned, and peace that comes from alignment with our purpose. Inner Story is a conversation. It's a moment where we give voice to the journeys of so many women with so many varied backgrounds. We are women who have lived, survived, and thrived. But we're also women who have so much more to live and give. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm honored because I have two of the most amazing women I know, my mom, Vernell Hamilton, and my mother-in-law, who really is more my mother-in-love, Vivian Horton Butler, and my sister-in-law, Kia. Welcome this morning, you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Make me
We
want
had
to
to do a little bit of
cry.
arm twisting there
Thank
to
you,
get them
thank
on,
you.
but you know what? They're troopers and I appreciate it.
Agreed.
So, and I'm going to call them Mom and Mom Vivian just for the sake of conversation. But Mom, you were born in 1945.
Yes,
So this year you're going to be 81.
that's
And
right.
Mom,
Real
and
proud of it.
Mom Vivian, you were born in 1939.
Yes.
So that means that this year you're going to be 87, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, the two of you have lived an incredible life, but you grew up in a world that's a lot different than the one that we have today. You've seen a lot of changes. I know in talking to my mom that initially there was no TV. There wasn't even in an indoor bathroom, right, Mom?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so to go from that to now being able to have these conversations with Mom Vivian in Philadelphia and Mom in North Carolina, this is amazing. And so I'm really looking forward to what you're going to be sharing with us today. One of the things I wanted to do is actually start a little bit with how you grew up and the world that you were born into, a world that was so different than ours. I'm going to start with you, Mom Vivian, because you and I've talked, and you were born in Boone, North Carolina, and your family made their way to Philadelphia. But first, I want you to share with us a little bit about what that was like. I know you weren't there very long, but tell me a little bit about your parents, about how you all made it from Boone to Philadelphia. And you mentioned a lot too about your dad. I want to hear a little bit about your dad because your dad went to college.
Yes, he did.
So tell us a little
And
bit about Boone. What was that like?
okay, when we moved from Boone to Philadelphia, I was only 2 years old. but I think I know as much about Boone because we left the area physically, but we never left it in the beauty of what it offered us and our family. Because my dad always had the family reunions and we loved it. I liked it more than my brother because I had a lot of friends. He didn't
Right.
have too many friends there. So when he could say, no, not going back, I kept saying, yes, I'm going back. Boone was a little small town, and the average person who lives in the North would say, wow, that is a small town. But it was a loving town. And we didn't
Mm,
have the racial problems that many
mm.
people do in various areas. So I loved it. And I still love it to this day. In fact, I'm hoping that I will be able to go this summer to see. We have few relatives left, but
Yes.
just to be in attendance.
Yes, yes. And so you were born in Boone, your family moved to a big city, Philadelphia. Mom, you were born in New Bern, North Carolina, which
Yes,
is kind of on the coast of North Carolina, the eastern part of North Carolina.
right.
Tell me a little bit about your growing up years in New Bern.
Well, I want to tell you, gave me a sense of false security because
Mm,
it was so loving and so caring.
mm,
And New Bern was a small area, but we knew everybody just about.
okay.
Um, as Vivian said, we didn't worry about really discrimination because it was very segregated, yes. But in our community, the Blacks learned how to survive. They had businesses,
Mm,
and the church supported the young people. There was never a dull moment. Now, I was the only child for 7 years, and
okay.
then my sister Sandra was born and had a lot of family because my mother was the eighth of 11 children, and my dad was number one of 9 children.
Okay.
So I had tons of cousins and a lot of support from the community, involvement in the church. Both parents worked. Uh, there was an air base, Cherry Point, that gave uh, jobs to many of the Blacks. My father had a skill because his father was a tailor and
Mm,
he had his own cleaning business. So my father was also a tailor and he had his own business.
wow.
So New Bern, it was fun. It was
Hmm.
fun.
Right.
I truly enjoyed it. And when I look back, you had different levels of people. You had the professional ones, you had the working class, and
Hmm.
then you did have people who didn't have, but they
Right.
all supported one another. So
I
New
I
Bern,
love that. And I
New
love how you were
Bern was
saying
really,
that
yeah,
your mom and dad both worked and your dad was really an entrepreneur.
yes, he was.
Mom Vivian, I remember when you and I were talking, you were talking about how your father had gone to college. Where did he go?
He attended North Carolina A&T, and
That's
that's
right.
where both of my children attended. So he was so proud of that.
That is
And
amazing.
he thought that there would be better opportunities in the North than he
Mm,
had experienced in the South.
okay. And so he actually went to Philadelphia first. He went before the family went.
That's right. He and my Uncle Charlie,
And what did
who
he
was,
do when he got to Philadelphia?
there was some kind of a factory association.
Mm,
So he worked there, and I tried to remember the name of that place. I don't think it's any longer in existence, but he and Uncle Charlie worked there for a period of time. I don't know how long,
Okay.
but it was, I'm sure, at least a year or so before they could bring their families this way.
Okay. So both of you grew up with what is considered a traditional family, where
Hmm.
you both had your mom and dad present to support you and love you. And I know, Mom, you said that you have your sister, so you're the oldest of two.
Yes,
And Mom Vivian, you are the youngest of two.
That's right.
Yes, you have a brother.
I have a brother, and you have made me through this program know that I must discuss several things with him because I always knew my brother was very smart.
Mm.
In fact, I knew this because he would finish his work in school so quickly. I think he was smarter than the teachers. And and he would get in trouble because he would be playing. And every time you looked up, my mother had to go and find out what was going on.
Yes.
So these are the kind of things that we haven't discussed ever, and I need to talk to him about that because you
Yes.
brought all of this to my attention, eh?
Yeah. So, the two of you, it seems like even though one person grew up in a major city and the other person grew up in a small town, you both had loving support. You both had the support of your faith communities.
Mhm.
And so as you were growing up, your parents, did they encourage you to go to college?
I knew I was going.
Okay.
They never talked about it, but I don't know. Maybe it was because I watched my brother and I knew he was going, but there was just something in my spirit that said, now, I was not the brightest light bulb in the classroom, but I loved school. So I didn't mind studying. And
Yes.
he was just the opposite. He was the brightest in the classroom.
Yes.
So uh, I'm going to talk with him about this because he would never admit it anyway. But I never dwelt on school and this and that because my life was a happy life. And
Yes.
I thought I didn't even think about prejudice and all of that. I think about it more now than I ever did in life
yeah,
Which is
hmm,
which
because
is
it's,
interesting.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
So,
they didn't.
Mom,
Go
oh
ahead,
no, go
Abe.
ahead, Mom
No,
Vivian.
I'm finished.
So, so Mom,
Yes.
what about you? Because I know neither of your parents, while they were workers and your dad was an entrepreneur, neither one of them went to college, but they encouraged you and you wanted to go to college yourself.
So neither one of my parents had formal education. Okay. Um, but I had a cousin who had attended Virginia Union. And when she got married, I was very impressed. And so that was a school that I decided I wanted to go to, Virginia Union. I wanted to get out of North Carolina, first of all.
Mm,
So when I applied, I did not get accepted. So
mm,
that was very heartbreaking for me, very heartbreaking. But my mother was determined that I would go to college. I would
Hmm.
go to college. So when I graduated from high school, I went to Boston for the summer.
mm,
And going to Boston, I discovered quite a few things that one needed to be able to survive in this world. So I went to get a job, couldn't get a job because I didn't have a social security number. Didn't know about that.
mm,
Didn't know about that. So I did get a social security number. The next year, okay, now Attorney General Brooks, who was Senator Brooks, was a friend of my uncle. And so my uncle talked to him and said she really wants to go to college. She didn't get accepted where she wanted to go. So we're thinking maybe she can go to school here. He said she can go to junior college and then transfer to Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
My mother wasn't hearing that. So that's when I got a letter of acceptance from Fayetteville State College. Never heard of it. Didn't know anything about it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, where is this place? But our neighbor, Lula Mendes, had graduated from Fayetteville State, and she submitted an application for me, and
Mm.
then I got accepted. So that's how I ended up at Fayetteville State.
So you
And
went to
that's called
Fayetteville
love.
State. And where
Yes,
did you wind up going, Mom, Vivian? Where did you go to
Morgan,
college?
Morgan State College at the time. And that's
Yes.
where my brother was already.
Okay.
Uh, but that didn't matter. I was accepted, and that's where I went. And that was in Baltimore, Maryland.
So, and both of these colleges are historically Black colleges.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Hmm.
So both of you went off to college, but then that's where your lives actually kind of diverged because Mom Vivian, you went on to Morgan and you graduated. What did you do after you graduated?
I came home and I knew because of the sacrifice of my family that I had to get a job.
Mm,
So that summer, I had all kinds of jobs as a young person as soon as I turned 16. So that summer, my auntie, Catherine, she was the one who worked in a thrift shop. I think that's why I have such love for them. So whenever she took a vacation or had to take time off, she asked me if I would go and work there. So I did that. But what was the other part of the question?
so after college, you started working at a thrift store, and then what
Yes.
happened after that?
No, not after college. That's
Oh,
during the
okay.
college
So
time.
during
Uh,
college, and then you
Okay.
graduated.
And so I came home and I said, because my major was health and physical education.
Mm,
And so I knew that I had to probably either work in recreation or in the school district. So I applied. Thank goodness I came in as a substitute. And
okay,
that was my blessing. The fact that from there, I moved into a permanent teaching position, and I spent over 35 years there
that's
working
amazing.
with the school district.
That's amazing. So you went on to become a teacher.
Yeah,
Mom, so
Yes,
you started out at Fayetteville State, and then what
yes.
happened?
So I started out at Fayetteville State, finished the first year, went back to Boston. This time I was able to get a job, and I got a job with Honeywell. Um,
ooh,
I was working in the back with transistors, doing transistors. And so I got the job by telling the people that I came from a large family and I needed the job to help my family. So they gave me the job. Well, when it came time for me to go back to school, I told them I had to go back to school. And they said, well, I thought you had to help your family. But anyway, when they found out I was in school, they asked, this is so you're in school in North Carolina. We have better schools here in Boston. So what we would like to do, they asked my major, which was business education. We can offer you a job in the office and you can go and we'll pay for you to go to school. You can go to school nights or you can go to school days. And I thought, how exciting. So everybody, and there were older blacks who worked in the back in the area where made transistors. And when I told them, they were very excited.
Mm.
I was very obedient to my mother, and she did not like that idea. She said, you can't work and go to school at the same time. So I went back to Fayetteville State, gave up that, and that's when I met your dad.
Oh, that is a
So you
beautiful.
met Dad,
Yes,
and
I
then
met your
while in
dad
college.
while in college in my third year, and we ended up getting together. As a matter of fact, I went to summer school because, like Vivian, I wasn't really doing that well in college. I was having a good time. And I was hanging out. What can I say? But we got married, and I quit school. I quit school because then I gave birth to you. He
Yes,
was in Vietnam. He went to Vietnam, and I stayed with my parents.
yes.
And I gave
Yes.
birth to a beautiful girl. And
So,
the, everybody just, I mean, the family, we all just were so excited about you. You were so sweet.
Yes,
aw.
don't make me
So
cry.
I know, right? So,
Yes, indeedy.
so your college career was cut short, because
Yes,
you had a family and you got married.
yes.
All right. So then you traveled throughout the world with Dad because he was in the military.
We did when he was in Vietnam and he got the news that he had a beautiful baby girl. He left, he came home, and we went to Indianapolis with the hopes of maybe settling there.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, and he was in the hospital for a while, he decided, I don't want to live here. So he went back into service in the Air Force, and our life began in Germany.
Germany.
In
Okay.
Germany, the first
Okay.
time I had been on an airplane traveling alone with a
Wow.
little baby,
Mhm.
and I remember that I flew from Kinston, North Carolina, to Philadelphia, where they had to take us over to McGuire Air Force to get the airplane to Germany.
Mhm.
Mm.
And here I was with a baby, had
And you
never
were
been on
how
an
old?
airplane,
How old were you?
21,
Wow.
21. And the most outstanding thing was when I got to McGuire, went in the nursery, and the lady said to me, one of the helpers, she said, honey, I'll take care of the baby. Go get you something to eat. I went to the dining facility to get something. The lady came in and she said, honey, what do you want to eat? I'll get it. Please go get your baby. She, she says she is screaming in that nursery. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but later on, did I find out that same lady who helped me was a dear friend of Ruby Proudfoot,
Aw.
my mentor.
Uh,
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. I remember Ruby, sweetheart.
So,
So my life began in Germany,
so
and that's
your
where I
life,
grew.
yes. And so for you, you got married at a young age, had your first child, and then you
Hmm.
all went to Indianapolis, but then moved to Germany,
Yes.
which was far from your family. But Mom Vivian, after you finished college, you started working. And when did you meet your husband and begin raising your family?
I knew him all my life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, we went to junior and senior high school together. But we were just friends. We never paid each other any mind until I imagine it was first or second year of college. And somehow something happened and we got married. And he was a good person, but we
Yes.
were not good for each other.
Mm.
And, after 32 years, we knew it. but we
Right.
were determined to raise our children together
Yes.
because we knew that children needed both parents. And
Yes.
we never were argumentative or angry at each other or anything like that. We were just raising these children, although we knew that one day it was going to come to something.
Yes.
And it was because it was lack of communication in the household.
Mm.
When
Mm.
you cannot intelligently or seriously speak about important things, and at that time, we could not talk about the things that would causing dissension in our family.
Yes.
So we just went about our routine, we have these two children. We're happy. Whenever there was anything for them, we were both there in a one accord. When we decided that we needed to go to something to support our socialization with people, we would do that. But what we had was, I guess, just a friendship and not a
Mm.
marriage. And that
Okay.
went on for many, many years. And I wouldn't
Interesting.
suggest that for anybody.
Very good.
Today, counseling is
Mm.
very important.
Yes,
And
Yes.
yes,
that
yes.
I would say to any couple having difficulties, don't just go along to get along.
Mm.
Get some help because often you cannot work it out yourselves. Now, I knew that I was a big mouth and still am. However, we just could not communicate with each other. That's a bad sign and it's a difficult sign. And we went on for family reasons of knowing that our children needed both of us and what it
Yes.
would be because my children they never knew that their dad and I were not of one accord because we
Mm.
never talked about it. Now they
Right.
might have suspected some things that I was unaware of, but it to me was a blow to them too. I
Yeah.
know when we separated and then divorced because they were just secure in the way they had been raised and in their growth and development. And to this day, I think about that. Could we
Mm.
have done anything different? And I think we could have, had we had a little more common sense in thinking toward getting some help. And that's the
Well,
reality of it.
and
Yeah,
I,
I like
I
that.
I appreciate you sharing that
Hmm.
because you're honest to say that you were in this loving relationship that unfortunately due to communication and other things, it couldn't work out. Mom, you though are still with dad. However,
Yes.
you know, um, you all have had your own times. And so, when you look back on your marriage, what are some of the things that you would be willing to share that would be helpful to young people, people starting out, about marriage and some of the struggles of being together in the long term?
Well, Adrian, for me, first of all, being a military wife, that
Mhm.
was a very learning experience and where I gather a lot of independence because your
Mm,
dad traveled. He was gone a lot, but he wasn't gone because he just didn't want to be there. That was his job. So
right.
I
Mhm.
became mom and dad. And in being
Mm,
mom and dad,
Yeah.
I made
Yeah.
a lot of decisions concerning the family. And so he allowed that to happen because he had his job. Now, once he retired, it got a little different by that. My main thing was I was really caught up on finishing my education. I
Mm.
was also caught up on being a very independent woman because my mother and my aunt were both very independent women. And so one of the things that I taught you girls, please get your education,
Mm-hmm.
get it together, be able to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the situation doesn't work, you will be able to survive it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad was a very good person, and he still is. He's more of a gentle person. I'm not. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
very gentle person. Okay. I'm a put it out there. I call it like I see it. He's
Mm-hmm.
not. So I grew. I grew from being a military wife. And there came a point where I said, it's time to stop traveling with you. It's time for me to settle down with these children and for me to have a career.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. So we had a period where we did separate,
Mm.
but then we
Mm-hmm.
came back as a family. And now we've been married for 60 years.
Mm.
Uh, I would tell anyone, relationships are hard. They're hard. They really are. But when you, as a woman, rely on your spouse or your significant other to be the person who will make all the decisions for you, who will entertain you, like when you hear people quoting and say, oh, yeah, we went out to wine and dine, that's all well and good. But you need to
Mm-hmm.
learn you. You really need
Yes.
to know who you are
Yes.
as a
Yes.
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And really, when you become comfortable within yourself, then you can survive certain things. All right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's why, and as you know now, your father has dementia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the resources that we have, and I'm not talking just financially, I'm talking about as far as the VA,
Mm-hmm.
being able to get health care from organizations that will send someone in to help you, and the support of family.
Yes.
Now, I've had a lot of support from you children, but one of the things I have to also realize that you all have life and
Right.
you have commitments. So I can't rely on that.
Right.
So I have someone come in. The other thing is that I'm really strong about for us older individuals, things have changed.
Yeah.
The internet, technology, technology is so important because that has been my support, being able to get on that computer when I don't feel like doing anything, ordering my food to come in, getting
Mm.
on the computer, ordering my groceries, either to go pick them up or to have them delivered.
Right.
So that has really been significant in my life, especially during this time.
And
Okay.
that's a really good point, the sources of
Absolutely.
support. And so for my mom, you mentioned how now you're in this role of caregiver for dad who has dementia. But for Mom Vivian, you've been independent for a very long time on your own. Talk a little bit about that because you're in an area where you get a lot of snow. You're in an area that's very metropolitan and can be kind of difficult to get around, but you've been navigating this for a long time. What has been your source of strength and your ability to manage and take care of yourself?
You know, I thought about that question several times, and I think I didn't look at my separation divorce as a burden
Mm,
because I kept looking to God and
mm,
He
Mhm.
kept drawing me closer. Phew, so makes me want to cry.
mm.
Closer and closer because He would assure me, I'm here.
Yeah.
Amen.
I'm here.
Yes,
And I
yes.
know that He is. I haven't,
Mhm.
I've always had the belief system, but to know Him as I know Him now is so marvelous that people think because you no longer have someone in your life or someone who lives with you, etc., that that's a void. It isn't, because I've always known how to get into various organizations or clubs or have my friends in, even
Yes.
if we had to order a pizza for a meal, to release myself from the fact that, okay, you don't have anyone, but you still have your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that is
Yes.
what has kept me going, kept me satisfied, kept me intact. Now, I act ugly, always have many times, but it makes me know that I don't have to have anyone living within my house or in my house, but
Yes.
I do need my friends.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I get down and I'm feeling sorry for myself, I call somebody up.
Yeah.
And I try not to rely on Kia and Jamie, because when you're working, yeah, you're going to listen, but you don't have time for all of this extra.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have gotten to the point where I no longer feel sorry for myself.
Mm.
I just keep on moving because I know this too shall pass. And before, I would use that cliche as just the fact that, well, everything's going to be all right. But no, I know everything's going to be all right.
Amen.
It
Right.
Yes.
might not
Yes.
be all right in the
Absolutely.
way I want it to be,
Right.
but it's going to be all right because this is the way God is has seen it. God
Yes.
has blessed me.
Yes.
God knows that all is in his hands, and he's made me, and he's making me see that every day.
Amen.
It's a feeling I cannot explain, but it's one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. The fact that I finally made up my mind to shut up long enough to hear him.
And I
And
love that you shared that because I mean it, for like I said, I'll be 60. And I'm beginning to realize that, as much as I would love to live forever, that life
Yeah.
is finite.
Yes.
And
yes,
and so you do learn that, you have to have an optimistic view of life and some resilience about you. And you're right that faith plays such a role in that. Mom, would you say that that's the same for you
Oh
as
my
you're going
gosh.
through life?
Listen, let me tell you something. As Vivian was talking, that's the number one thing, your spirituality. That's what has given us both strength. I know that.
mhm,
But I remember when my mom was, as she became in her 90s, and I would go down because I was taking care of her business. And I would, every month, I would go down and take care of business and make sure everything was okay. And there was something she would always ask me. When I walk in the house, she would say, did you come by yourself? I said, yeah. She said, you mean those children, nobody would come with you? I said, somebody did come with me. She said, "Who?" I said, well, Jesus was with me in the car all the way here, honey.
Mm,
I said, you should know that. I said, you're the one who taught me that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where our strength does come from.
right.
He provides, God provides. Sometimes you don't even know where things come from in your life
Mm-hmm.
on that
Mm-hmm.
journey. That peace. I always say he gives you peace during the storm. Now the storm
Yes.
continues, but there's peace that he gives you.
That's
And I
Yes.
right.
had a friend one time when I got very upset about something, and I went to her and she said to me, do not let anyone steal your joy. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
honey, so listen, what Vivian said, I attest, honey, that was a testimony right there. If young
Yes.
people,
Yes.
young people could, and we can't force that. You have to go on the journey and you have
Yes.
to
Yes.
experience it.
That's
Yes.
right.
You have
Yeah.
to have pain. You have to have pain.
Yes.
You're going to have pain regardless. There are going to
That's
be
right.
things that occur in your life that will cause you
Mm-hmm.
to have tears even.
That's right.
Okay. But
They will
when you
come.
can say, but I'm still standing, that's where
Yes.
it's at.
Mm-hmm.
That's where
Yeah.
it's at.
So thank you
And
all for sharing that. Oh, go ahead, Mom. Vivian.
in your situation, sometimes you feel sorry for yourself, and
Mm,
sometimes you are discouraged. But God, through his grace and mercy, lets you know you don't have to worry about this, honey.
right.
You will just sit back and watch me work. And I've seen
Exactly.
it too many times in my life that that is what I've done. But I had to grow into
Mm,
that. Oh, it
absolutely.
wasn't overnight. It's just in my old years, which I'm very happy to be in, that I have been there. But someone said to me many years ago, would you like to live your life over again? I said, only if
Mm,
I know what I know now. But that
yes.
trial and error, I would not like to go through.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for sharing this. So, um, you know, one of the things as I was preparing for the show, I was really thinking about what a blessing it has been to have a mother and mother-in-law like you, who've really been such strong role models for me. But Kia, I know you're sitting there beside your mom. Um, Kia, I know you've been listening in. Um, Tell me what it means to have your mother, um, and have her in your life, and what she has shown you, um, as you've become the woman that you are.
So she's my hero. I mean, just point blank, she is. Ooh, I knew I was going to get emotional.
No.
But what I have learned from her and what you can hear from this podcast is we as women, we take on a lot.
Yes.
We take on a lot.
Yes.
And our mental health and just self-care is
Yes.
very important. Really, really, really important.
Yes.
And so, you talked about my mom living on her own for a while and what have you.
Yes.
She's like very independent, very fiscally conscious.
Yes.
She's always preached to me, try your best to live within your means, pay yourself first. And as a daughter, and Adrian, you can probably relate to this, she's kind of critical of me, um, and wants me to represent myself in the best way possible all the time. All the
Yes.
time, right? And so you can't help but, you know, when you're young, you're like, geez, can I do anything right? You know, what,
Yeah.
you know, can you give
Mhm.
me some positive feedback sometime? You know,
Right.
I'm really working hard here. But it's not until I got older and I have my own children that I
Yes.
understand a couple of things. That's the way that she grew up, right? Right, wrong,
Yes.
and indifferent. And these are the things that she was expected, were expected of her. And so she expects of, you know, her children, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say everything was peaches and roses growing up with me, but as I reflect and had to prepare for this discussion, like I said, you cannot ignore the lessons learned and all that she has instilled in me. And then I think, and I'm so glad to hear Mom Vernell say too,
Mhm.
as women, right?
Yeah.
One of the key things about them growing up, both of them that they referenced in their talk was educate yourself.
Yes.
Educate yourself
Yes.
and never stop learning, right?
Right.
Because it's
Right.
not just it's about moving yourself forward as well as your
Right.
family, as well as your
Yes.
family. And
Yes.
nobody can ever take your education from you,
Never.
ever,
Mm-mm.
No.
ever.
No. So Kia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I do want to say something here. So, Kia, what is it that you do for a living?
Oh my goodness. So Adrian just had to go there. So I am a certified public accountant, and I am a managing partner and founder of a minority owned CPA firm here in Philadelphia. And it is almost 9 years old.
Wow, I
And
didn't realize that.
yes, yes, yes. And so, as my mom said, you know, it's a lot being an entrepreneur. And I have a partner, obviously Michael Horsey. The name of the firm is Horsey Buckner Heffler, shameless plug. But it's a lot. It's a lot, but we can do it.
Well, and the
We
reason
have done it, right?
and Kia, the reason I ask you to bring that up is because, that too is a testament to how you were raised as a woman to know and believe that all things were possible,
Mhm.
Most
you know,
definitely.
that you could power through.
Mhm.
And so that's why I wanted you to say that, because when we look at our moms and all that they've been through in their lives, and here they are,
Right.
thriving, it means a lot. It's inspiring to us. And I know for my own mother, I don't think I tell her enough just how proud I am of her to know that, she traveled around the world with four children many
Mhm.
times,
Mhm.
having to do that on her own. Um, and that's a lot when you grew up in a small town. You really didn't have that kind of exposure to know what to do. And so, Mom, I'm really proud of you for all that you've accomplished and how you raised us. Um, but I'm also grateful for the family I married into, because Mom Vivian has also shown me what it means to be gracious and
Yes.
loving and
Mhm.
kind,
Yes, she has.
and to live
Yes, indeed.
independently, without complaint. And so that means a lot. Um, we're getting towards the end, and one of the things I wanted to ask both of you is if you were to be able to go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self,
Mm.
what would you say to her?
Well, at 18, I was just as crazy as a loon, still there. and just having the best time. I had good friends. Three girlfriends live right next door to me, and all three of them have passed. And
Wow.
one lived down the street from me. Her name was Kia. Um, so we had great times together because we were always together in and out of one or the other's houses. So I don't know what I would say to my 18-year-old self. I might just say, live your life as God pushed you through and make it a life of prayer and satisfaction. And think of how your parents insisted that you go to Sunday school and church, even though there were many times you did not want to. But faith is the thing that truly keeps you living, whether you sometimes go against what your beliefs are or about what you have been taught. Remember, God is always there and on your side.
Yes. Yes. Love that. Mom, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Well, yeah, that's a loaded question because
It is. It is right.
because like Vivian, carefree, just enjoying. But my mother, who was very involved in the church, um,
Mhm.
and really always had words from the Bible and things that when she would talk to me, when I would get a bit hot tempered,
Mhm.
I would probably listen more and be more spiritual and
Yes.
have more understanding that being spiritual doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy life, but there's
Yes.
certain rules to enjoying life. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I would also pay attention to my surroundings and learn from them. Learning is very important, and you can learn a lot from your surroundings. You can learn a lot from the people you come in contact with. Okay. So that would be one of the things I would tell my 18-year-old self.
Yes.
Simmer down, and
Mm.
learn. Simmer down,
Mm.
girl. You don't know everything. You
Mhm.
think you do, but you don't know
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
There's a lot to
Yes.
learn here. Okay.
Yes. So what's interesting is, Mom, you had three girls. Mom Vivian, you have one. Kia and I have none.
Right.
Yes.
So we
Yes. Yes.
we're not able to pass on this amazing legacy to
Right.
girls of our own because unfortunately we don't have them, but we do have sons.
Mhm.
And so for us, we have the ability to model what it means to be women who are independent, thriving, surviving because our mothers taught us that. What do you think,
Mhm.
Kia?
So agree. So agree. So agree. So agree. So I mean, just staying along the education theme, my mom as an educator was very involved in, my learning throughout the years. And I mean, teachers, the administrators, leadership, my
Yes.
curriculum, like she knew it all. So
Yes.
that's all I knew. So every school both of my sons have been to, I had a meeting with the principal. I was
Yes.
very involved with the all of their teachers and what have you. And as they grow up, you teach them to kind of advocate for themselves because by the
Yeah.
Yes.
time they get to high
Yes.
school,
Yes.
they don't want to see the parents at
Right.
all.
Mhm.
Right.
But being involved at an early age, at an early age in their educational journey was profound. I mean, that was just something that
I
was
agree with
innate in
that.
me that I knew I was going to do. I knew I was going to do.
That's a really good point, Kia, because to your point, so yes, you had a mother who was an educator who could model
Mhm.
that. On the flip side, my mom was a woman who, because she traveled and got to see different environments, it was that same kind of thing that you were just talking about going into the school system, making sure you were an advocate for your child. And
Mhm.
that's something that was passed on to me and something your mom passed on to you that I believe we've passed on to our sons, you
Yes,
know,
yes, yes.
um, as fathers, our hope is that they will be advocates for their children.
Mhm.
We have only a couple of minutes, but I wanted to close with a poem, and it's one that's very familiar to people. But it's Maya Angelou's poem, Still I Rise, because I think that
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so
Mhm.
um, appropriate for the
It
women
is.
that we have with us today. So I'm just going to read an excerpt from that. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing eternal. Still I rise.
I
This has
love
been
it.
a thank
I love
you.
it. Thank you. Because it
Thank
was a
you all.
poem, Adrian and everyone. It was a poem that kept me going all of my life, and it was called It's All in the State of the Mind. And
Yes.
whenever I needed something to keep me going, I recite that poem.
Mhm.
Thank you, because I'm still trying to rise. I
Amen to
believe it.
that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you both
Vernell,
so
it's
much.
so good to
Thank
see you.
you. This
Thank
was
you. This has been
awesome.
a pleasure.
It
Oh,
really
it
Thank
has.
you.
Very
has.
It
much a
It
really
pleasure.
has.
really
And thank you,
has.
Kia, for joining in.
No
Again,
problem.
you've been listening to Inner Story on WCEG, the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. And also thank you to the producer, Penny Rogers, for all that she does for all of us every day. You all have a great week. And as I always end, gotta run.
I love it. Love it. Vernell, one of
Bye.
these days we're going to have time to spend.
Yes, absolutely.